HHDG. We are on another episode of HHDG Media, the podcast. And shout out to everyone tuning in right now on our YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook group, HHDG, Hip Hop Discussion Group. Shout out to our HHDG Media Inc. company, our fam, Rock Vader KB, Skelly Top, T. Smith, the Mayor, and myself, Wiki, making this possible. And as you can see on the bottom banner, you can go to our website, hhdgmedia.com, and go check out music as well as events and our merch. And be sure to check out our too. Lots of dope music that came out this year, pretty much every year. So hip hop is alive and thriving year after year. And speaking of thriving, our guest for tonight is very multi-talented. Definitely came with the MCing early, and that's how I discovered his music through Bodega Brothers. His personality shines in his MCing and also shines in his current hosting duties right now. If y'all haven't checked out Dish Nation, y'all definitely need to go check that out. Comedy is, that's the first word I think of when I see, him hosting, and with the music as well. He has, like I said, with his personality, it can come off. He has the humor. He has the delivery. He's got the bars to come with it. New York transplant. Right now in the warmer climate, while I'm over here freezing. We definitely going to talk about his current ongoings right now with music, the morning hustle, as well as Dish Nation. So I'd like to introduce tonight Headkrack.
What's
How you
going
doing,
on,
man?
world? Peace. What's going on, Wiki? Yo, I appreciate the intro,
Doing
man,
good.
and I appreciate the love, brother, for real.
Definitely, man. Like I was saying, I discovered you through Bodega Brothers, and I remember a lot of what was going on around that time. And also a name that also comes to mind is Kevin Nottingham.
Oh yeah.
That brother right there put me on to a lot of music.
He put a lot of people on, man. Like, the crazy thing is when people think about the eras of hip hop and how people discovered hip hop, during the blog era where certain sites was posting you, it was up from there. He was definitely a major player in that game, man. And salute to him and his whole organization, man, that he had running it at that time, for real.
Definitely. So tell the world a little bit about, the Bodega Brothers.
Yo, check it out, man. Bodega Brothers is a three-headed monster that consists of me, myself, Headkrack, along with Trav out of 7th and my partner in crime, Keynote. And we all started being a part of 3 different groups, when we met each other. I went to a different high school than Keynote. Trav, he was a little bit older, so he went to a different school across town, but we all would meet up at the same spots, and just our crews would just kind of intermingle with each other. And when it came time to separate from those different situations that we was a part of, we just kind of all found each other. And me and Kino a little bit easier than Travi, because we started doing radio together. We started doing a night show together on 97.9 The Beat in Dallas. And then from there, Travi actually got a job at the radio station too. So we were all just hanging out all the time. So when we get off the air, we go to the studio, we work on just music just for the sake of working on music. And sometimes if I needed an extra verse, Trav was there, Key was there. So the Bodega records were kind of just automatically recording themselves in the beginning. And when it was time for me to go on tour, I was like, yo, man, I want y'all to come with me, but I don't want y'all to come just to do a couple of songs. Let's make more songs. And then boom, the Bodega Brothers was born from that.
That's dope.
Organic, man.
Yeah, it's definitely organic. And you know, it's crazy. Like I was saying in the intro, your personality is perfect for what you're doing now. And when you listen to the music, it's like, yo, he's a natural.
Thank you, bro. I mean, that's where I'm truly my happiest, man. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people see me do radio 5 days a week or see me on Dish Nation 5 days a week or whatnot, but music is where I really, really find my happy space. You know what I'm saying? And there's one
Mhm.
different energy that comes with doing the solo stuff, and there's another, like, set of energy that comes with doing the bodega records too, because they're completely different and they
Yep.
have their own little personality, which I think is fun. Because, like, a lot of times, when groups break up or split up, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between the group stuff and the solo stuff. You know what I mean? And I
Good
definitely
point.
wanted to make sure, like, these things have a life of their own. And even when you're looking at, like, 'cause I have the opportunity to listen to the records that Trav and Keynote are working on independently as well. Even their solo records are completely different than what you would hear them do with Bodega. So I can't wait to not only for people to hear the next batch of Bodega things that we release very soon. I can't wait to hear people hear Travi's solo joint, which is out right now called Monkey Ish. And
Monkey ship.
Kino got some joints coming too, man. Like, I'm just telling them, like, yo, press the button, man. Just you got the joints, man. Press the button. So hopefully sooner than later.
That's dope. So move down to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
When did you meet Chaotix?
So the Chaotix connection came, man. You know your stuff, bro. The Chaotix connection came from, I was working in Motown Records at the time. I was doing like the mail outs for, like, my boss at the time, a lady by the name of Shannon Henderson, and it was a radio station in Austin called KVRX, and it was a college station. He was playing hip hop. So at
Mhm.
that time, I was like, yo, this seemed like the type of station that would play some of the stuff I'm doing. So I set my stuff out there, and they started playing it, and then I was like the number one song on their playlist, and then I got knocked off by Chaotix. I'm like, yo, who these Chaotix dudes? I gotta hear them. So when I heard them, like, sonically, they were dope and not what I was used to hearing coming out of Houston. So I was like, yo, I want to, build with these cats. So between point A and point B, I met the R, who's the producer for them, and
Mhm.
next thing you know, I'm on a plane to Houston. We cut up a record, a 12-inch called Clear. We ended up putting it out on Land Key, on the B side called Ready for the Right. I ended up doing something on their album, a song called Untitled.
Hold on. Still got that joint.
Oh, is this about to pull out an artifact out the treasure chest?
Hold on.
See, that is so wild because you never know what people hold on to, man. For real, for real.
Hold on a second.
In the meantime, while he's checking for that, man, man, you could also stream that song on also, Spotify, Tidal, iTunes, all that good stuff. Wherever you're stealing your music from is there. Just look for Untitled by Chaotix, man. I'm on that third verse. I'm out there. Then also on the 12-inch tip that we talk about, you can still find vinyl copies of that floating around out there. So be on the lookout, man. As time goes by, vinyl becomes rare and rare.
Absolutely.
Boom! Oh, and it looks like it's in the plastic too. My man got the mint joint.
I got 2 copies.
My man, as all DJs should, right? Yeah, man. And
man.
So that Chaotix Connect was really, really dope, man, because like I needed some people to light a fire under my ass. You know what I mean? And they did just that. Like, it just showed me that, like, hey, listen, man, Dallas is Dallas, New York is New York. But yo, there's dope MCs everywhere. And you gotta, like, always just make sure you keep your knives sharp and never, like, feel like, you know what I'm saying, like you're at the top of the heat. Because the thing is, it's easy to get to the top. It's hard to stay there. You know what I mean? So working with them and building with them and just like having some top-notch production from the R, man, it really, kept my pen sharp and kept me moving to the point to where I, in the last couple of weeks, stumbled across a project that me and the R were working on that we never really put out. And I'm listening to the lyrics and I'm like, yo, all of this stuff matters. Like, none of it is like really time stamped. Like, I'm not rapping about my time port pager. I'm not talking, like, yo, sharp with the TurboGrafx 16. Like, none of that stuff. Like, it's all like just life rap that still matters. And then some, some rapidy rap as well. But I'm like, yo, maybe there's a couple things I would say differently, and maybe there's a couple lines that you can't say anymore in 2022. However, the rest of it is good to go. So hopefully, man, y'all get to see, like, I can microdose that out to y'all, man, over 2023, man. Because, like, yeah, there's no reason for it to just be sitting on my hard drive.
Got you. That's dope right there. And what I like is, I was with Kevin Nottingham. I got exposed to a lot of hip hop coming out of Texas in general. And Strange Fruit Project. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Those brothers right there. Amazing work.
I was legit listening to some Strange Fruit the other day because, like, it was just on random on my iTunes music, my iTunes radio. You start an artist and then it just randomly plays stuff. But S1's production combined with Strange Fruit's lyrical ability and just the diversity, man, it was one of those groups that I wish more people had the opportunity to be up on before they, I don't think they operate as a group anymore because, like, S1 just got busy. It is what it is. But I would love to see a Strange Fruit album in 2023 just to see where these brothers is at now, like, lyrically and just also what they have to say. Because, like, sometimes when you're not, I don't want to say fast food rap, but, like, when you're not fast food rap, your shelf life lasts longer. So you get to come out and still be able to be relevant, years after people thought you was done because you really had something to say the entire time.
Yeah. And that also goes back to what you were saying with the work you did with the art that didn't come out. Their music is timeless to me.
Yeah. I mean, these brothers are still touring off of, like, a couple of albums that they put out in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I mean, you also see it too with a lot of guys that we look up to, whether you talk about, some of the people that just did the Rock the Bells Fest not too long ago, but sometimes you just need just one or two joints, and they don't even necessarily have to be, like, commercially huge, but your core fans will follow you wherever you go, man. So that's what I'm just trying to do, is be the Pied Piper, no R. Kelly, and and just lead a new legion of fans who maybe know me from this one thing over here, but not the music thing, and then be like, for real, oh wow, like, he's serious.
Yeah, dope, man. Just listening to you talk, I got to ask the question: were you like this growing up as a child? Your personality, or you developed?
I would probably say so, like, because I was always outgoing, and long as I had one person that had my back, I felt like I could do anything. I was one of those people, so I always had great friends that believed in my nonsense and went along for the ride with me, which I think was also dope too. Because even some of my earlier rap groups, it was like me and my best friends at the time, like, even like people that didn't rap. It's like, yo, you might not rap, but I don't know, your mom has money. Can she buy us a keyboard? You're part of the situation. So there was always been, I've always had enablers around me that help me be great, man. And it's all a part of a story, man. Because I think when you have people who don't believe in you, it makes you either work harder to show it, prove everybody wrong, or it helps you, kind of navigate through the nonsense a little easier. Even though I still feel like I'm kind of taking a scenic route, which I think is great. Oh, did I lose you? There you go.
No, there you go.
Yeah. But nah, so yeah. So most of my friends will probably tell you, yeah, Crack's always been the same dude. Like, for real. It's always been like this. Because I believe, like, the sky's the limit. Nothing is impossible. Like, even the radio gig, we got it because I'm like, yo, there's a station that has no DJs. Let's make a tape so we could work there. Like, Alkaline Thoughts. I never think about something not happening. I always think about it happening and what it looks like once it does happening. Because, it's a frequency out there when you put out that bad energy or that bad, that doubt. I don't believe in doubt.
You got sky's the limit.
Indeed, man. Word to big.
Yeah. I was just talking on the previous interview about always go ahead and try and reach out to someone. You just never know. They may contact you and be reluctant to speak with you, or they just may not respond to you at all. But at least you made that effort. Always put out that effort.
Yeah, I don't think a no has ever killed anybody unless it's like, hey, can you give me more oxygen? No, and then you pass. But other than that, like a no has not really killed too many people. I mean, I think one of the
Yeah.
best examples I can give is like it was like 2018. Eric B and Rakim was getting ready to go on tour for the first time in 25 years. I peeped that they had no opening acts. I reached out,
Ah,
through my manager to try to like see if I can get on those dates, and it was like, yo, what date you want?
there
Most
you
people
go.
would look at it from the standpoint, oh, that'll never happen to me. But no, like it can happen. You'd be surprised how many things just
Yep.
happen because like somebody showed initiative and be like, yo, excuse me, sir, can I? Or excuse me, man, may I? All those things, so go for it, man.
That's all it takes. Yeah. hmm Now, with that energy and that drive, has there been anyone that's congratulated or thanked you for putting that battery in their back the same way?
Randomly, I run into people all the time, and it be from different walks of life. I mean, obviously, I run into a lot of people. It's like, yo, I listen to you every morning. You make me laugh, man. I love it. Then you also like, got the people who watch Dish Nation. People who are like, on one side of the wall, and also people who are incarcerated, which actually blew my mind. But I totally get it. We have beautiful women that work on the show, and people who are locked up want to see something nice. Totally get it. So those components are great, and even on the music space, it brings joy to my heart when people know me from Bodega Brothers, because there's a lot of people who don't put two and two together and even realize that I'm in the group. Even on iTunes, when they say similar
Mm,
artists, they don't even have Bodega Brothers listed as similar artists. Like it's like if you like Headkrack, you'll like Killer Priest and some guy named King Size. But when people make those connections, or if I happen to randomly see somebody with a Bodega Brothers shirt, it's like, whoa, okay, damn it, we got to work harder. And it's been a lot more, I guess, difficulties since I've moved to Atlanta,
mhm.
because in real life, I'm like Puff in the group. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna come through, be like, this is what we're gonna do, da 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 da. And sometimes not being there to bind everybody together tightly, it slows certain things down. And then when I'm like in full on bodega mode, everybody's like, yo, damn, where all this urgency come from? But it's like, bro, like, let's go. We have a lot of songs. Like, we can literally put out 3 bodega albums this year alone. But we're gonna just get
Easily. Wow.
we're just gonna give y'all 1.5. And they're conceptually fun. Couple joints that we might have to like work on getting the samples cleared for, but we are really having a great time just connecting and building on music again. So I love it, man, and I just can't wait to get back on the road with my homies. I'm actually getting ready to go out of town so I can see them during the Christmas break, and
Okay.
and cook
That's
up some
dope.
more things. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited about everything that 2023 has in store for real.
I love hearing people speak of the music in the way you are, because it has to be fun, or it doesn't come out, the way organically, or the way it just make it feel good, not just for you, but for the listener.
Yeah. And when you think about music that really like sticks to your ribs, like songs that spoke to you in a certain way, that's kind of always been our thing, man. Like, yo,
Hmm
if you sad as hell, listen to this. Yo, you about to go to the gym, you don't feel like it, listen to this. Oh, you just getting bullied at school? Oh, listen to this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're trying to like have a song for every occasion without trying. Just let it happen. Let the organicness do what it's going to do and speak to you in the way it does. And I'm glad that people are starting to catch up and catch on, and we ain't gonna stop, man, because we got some things to say, group wise and solo wise too, man. And shout out to everybody who who's been around for all of it, from the fancy Anthrax days to Loaded Guns and Alcohol, and even like the little things we snuck out there on SoundCloud. Thank you.
Whatever happened to hydroponic sound?
Wow, you are plugged in. So, Hydroponic Sound System consisted of 2 producers, a guy by the name of Skinny Fresh and a guy by the name of Ruben. And Skin got into the world of radio, but from the sportscasting standpoint.
Ah, okay.
So he got so entrenched in that he took his hands off of music a little bit, which was crazy because I did a lot of records with Skin that ended up getting placed in like TV shows and stuff like that. And
Wow.
like, licensing and things like that. So there was a lot of good money in there for him. But I guess overall, like, it was like, hey, this new thing seems a little bit more lucrative because, like, hey, listen, music is a labor of love. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of us are in it just because we love what it does for us, like psychologically. But not everybody's in it just to make a buck. And at the end of the day, he had to make ends meet. So it is what it is. I'm not sure what Ruben's doing, but I hope Hydroponic Sound System come back together and do something else because those were fun records. And even just from the standpoint of like the records that we did that are not officially out, like case in point, Salt and Pepper. You saw the biopic?
Yeah.
Yo, I'm watching the Salt and Pepper biopic, right? And this song come on when they at this party towards the end. It's like maybe the last 30 minutes of the movie. And I'm like, man, who's this fake sounding Chuck D song they got on here? Man, they must have not been able to afford the real thing. Then all of a sudden I realized I knew the lyric. And I was like, wait, that's me. Like, we did that song so long ago. And for those who don't understand how music libraries work, sometimes they want songs that sound like certain songs or songs that have a certain energy. So we just fed this music library just a bunch of records, right? And one of them was like a Public Enemy sounding song. And years later, it got used. And it's been used for other things, but for me to hear it while I'm watching TV, it was almost like hearing yourself on the radio for the first time. Because it's like, yo, oh snap, that's me. I didn't just do that for my health. And, it's out there. So that's dope, man. And so is Hydroponic Sound System, man. We need more. We need much more. Like one of my favorite Headkrack records was something I did with Skin. It was this freestyle I did rapping about Robert Blake. It was like I did a whole freestyle over this beat that he threw on, and it was about the whole Robert Blake murder. And it was like a one take kind of situation. And yeah, it was on my One Man Army mixtape, I believe. It's always a vibe with those guys.
That's amazing. So tell us, from going from Dallas and then also moving over to another southern state and the whole This Nation coming, to fruition.
Got you. So, Dallas really treated my New York hustle very well. I came in there with just energy, would never slow down, and it was working out. But I think it just got to a point where I couldn't really grow anymore. Then I've already grown there, and the music was kind of getting stifled because they was really on a southern vibe right then. And I am who I am, and I'm not going to change my sound just to appease like pockets of people. So as the radio show was doing well, with that me and Kino doing like on the night side of things, I ended up teaming up with Ricky Smiley, and they formed a new morning show. And we did that for about 2 years in Dallas, I believe. Next thing you know, we got more cities that wanted to add on, and Atlanta was one of them. And it was one of those situations where people in the company is like, the only way you'll be able to win in Atlanta is if you're physically in Atlanta. So they lifted the show up, moved us to Atlanta, and then boom, next thing you know, we in Atlanta. Getting more interviews, getting a little bit more press and notoriety because we're talking to more people. And then the opportunity to do Dish Nation comes along. Somebody reached out to our man Rock T, who was on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show, and he's like, how would y'all feel about doing this? Because this company, contacted us about that, and we was like, yeah, everybody's pretty much, hell yeah, it's a free promo for the show, extra check, let's do it, fam. So next thing you know, we do the pilot. The pilot does really well, and 11 years later, I'm doing 2 jobs, all from the same building.
Wow.
And it just blasted off, man. And like, because the crazy thing, radio is so 2-dimensional. It's just voice, and maybe every now and then you go to the website just to see what these people look like. But Dish Nation really bought it 4K. You know what I mean? Like to where, like, oh, this is what Headkrack looks like. Oh, he used to have dreads. Now he doesn't. Da-da-da-da-da. So you get to make that appointment with people, whether they hear you in the car in the morning or they see you on TV at night. I have 2 opportunities every day to make an impact in some way, size, shape, or form, and even more if you tapped into the music. So that was a blessing, like super duper blessing, man. Because dude, that like Dish Nation has made it possible for me to do pretty much whatever I want to do. Because it costs money to do music, and it costs money to do videos that look a certain way, unless you just so talented you can just shoot, edit, record, and everything yourself. So it really, gave me the extra cushion I need to be ill.
That's great. Tell us, I see the fun when I see y'all presenting on This Nation,
Mhm.
and the way you were talking about the fun with the music. Just take us through, the behind the scenes before y'all actually go and
All right,
just
so
start speaking on.
in the current incarnation, I roll in because we start taping around 11, so I get there around 10:50 because I'm reading stories all day. So by the time I get there, I kind of already know what we're talking about. So we come through, usually Tanner beats me there first. The white people are just very punctual. So when man Tanner be in the studio before I do usually. Then Brat, then Gary rolls in, and then we be having different special guests between point A and point B. And man, like it takes us about roughly an hour to knock the show out that y'all see for 30 minutes. But it's only because like the producers come in and be like, hey, this is how you say this person's name or
Mhm.
da 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 da. Just running down all the bullet points of the show because everybody retains information differently. Like I could just look at something twice and then like, all right, I got it. Some people you kind of got to walk them down all the things. But at the end of the day, it's fun. And I think the editors do a great job at keeping us from being canceled. Because sometimes we're like, we'll say something like, "You gonna cut that, right?" Great, but at the end of the day, there's no maliciousness in the room. Everybody, seems to get along well, and I get to work with some truly amazing people. I mean, if you'd have told me when I was 14 years old that I could get to hang out with the Brad every day, I'd be like, nah, get out of here. Or even some of these other people that get to come through here. Like, Morris Chestnut came through the other day, and like I ain't never seen so many women dressed like they was going on a job interview. People who I didn't even know worked there anymore was there. They pulled up, you know what I mean?
Oh my goodness.
Yo,
Mm-mm-mm.
deep V-necks, you know what I'm saying? Cleavage on full display. And I'm like, yo, you're in sales. But it's always cool to be able to not only interview the people, but just, like see people fan out over to some of the people we interview, which I think is fun as well. Cause even the other day I talked to Eric Idle because he was on The Masked Singer. And for those who don't know, Eric Idle, he was a part of like Monty Python's Flying Circus. It's like a super, super
Yeah.
old school comedy troupe. But even deeper than that, I'm a big Transformers fan, Wiki. So, I mean, that's Eric Idle from Monty Python's Flying Circus. But yo, you was also the voice of Wreck Guard,
That
Transformers the
part.
movie. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So I get to geek out as well and just have a great time, man. So, like it's just, this whole thing has just been the gift that's keep on giving, man. So what I try to do, what I do is like leave a window open, try to bring other people in just so they can kind of, have the same type of opportunities that I have. Cause that's all I wanted coming up is just somebody to look out and, and try to put me on, so here we are, man. Just trying to create new roads for people to walk down.
That's great. There, with the show, there's so much content out there for y'all to pick from, including just the celebrity news with
Mhm.
the typical humor, real life memes, and just dumb shit that's going on that you see on social media. How do y'all be able to pick through so much of this?
Yeah, I got to give all praises to the producers because they're the ones who
Mm,
really put the story. I mean, if we see a story we like, we'll send it in and they'll rock with it. But really, the producers do their thing. I mean, because we only have like, it's a 30-minute show, but after commercials, it's 22 minutes. So we have to cram so much in there. So we have to think about, all right, cool. We know who this person is, but will Kate Smith in Topeka, Kansas know who this is? So sometimes it's about just flying right where everybody can be on the radar with the comments. I mean, with the content that we're doing. But then
hmm
also too, every now and then we do try to put you on to something or somebody that you don't know about. So, it's a juggling act, and I think we've done a pretty decent job of juggling it.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Shout out to those producers, man, because
Yo,
they're on it.
every last one of them, man. Like, I mean, too many to name. I don't want to start naming because I don't want to leave nobody out. But we have a very, very tight squad, man. That's why like that aspect of my day, it doesn't even feel like work. You know what I mean? Sometimes people get up to go do something, and they be
You
like,
can't beat
man,
that.
I got to do this again. But really, it's only time it's tough for me is like, damn, I need a haircut. You know what I mean? Other than that, everything Gucci, yo. Oh, did you freeze? Think you froze, man. Mimic Wiki just hit me with the mannequin challenge. See if I can match it. I don't want to confuse y'all, but like, yeah, he froze. There, you back. All right, cool.
Yep, there you go.
I was trying to kill time. I was like, you hit us with the mannequin challenge. I was trying to back it up. But I didn't want everybody to think it was frozen. So here we are.
Man, I know she's not listening, but I tell people all the time about, the Brat's lyrical skills. People may see her on these shows, and now that she's on a host now, but her skills have not missed a step. I've listened to some stuff that it wasn't officially released, and I found it on SoundCloud a few years ago, and I shared it. I'm like, y'all still need to stop sleeping on her.
I think you talk about one of the songs was Everything Gucci. Was that one of the songs?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, Wiki, she has an EP that she's sitting on. She put out a single called Time's Up, I think is what the single's called. But the EP, the rest of it, the stuff that's on there, out of here. And she even got some features on there that are really dope too, like some new cats that I think people are going to definitely put some eyes on between point A and point B, man. Brat's still a wolf out here, yo, for real. Like, don't let the wedding ring and the comfortability fool you, yo. Like, she still is a villain with the pen, and not only for herself but also for others, man. And it's just a pleasure to watch. That's one of the biggest things I hate about not being on the radio with her no more. Was because I used to always look forward to the Flow and Goes we would do on Friday, where we just freestyle and go back and forth, because it was fun. Because like, how many people can say, "Yo, I'm freestyling with the Brat"? You know what I mean?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Amazing, man.
Yep, yeah.
Damn. Now you got me eager to hear that.
Oh man, some of them are floating around on YouTube. Boy, you got to just type in Headkrack in the Brat.
My searching again.
Cool. Yeah, I think they kept most of them up. Every now and then, like, YouTube would be like, this instrumental is not cleared, so they pull it. But a lot of them are up there, man. We got some joints out there.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So with the hosting, and you got the Bodega Brothers joint, ready to launch off. How do you manage all of this? It's not easy.
It is tough, man, because the thing is, anything that you really truly want to be great about, or great at rather, you have to sometimes really partition yourself to only do one thing at a time. Like, I don't know if you was following, but last year around this time, well, actually January to be specific, I started training for a fight, which I thought I was going to have in March.
Yes,
but
I remember.
that thing got pushed back. So I was boxing for 6 months and not really focusing on music, not really focusing on, stand up or nothing like that. And it was eating me alive, but also I didn't want to get beat up in front of people. So pick your poison, you know what I mean? So I put in the time in the gym. I fought a gang of sparring partners. So when it was time to jump in the ring, it was nothing. But, my musical output suffered because I just couldn't carve away the time to work on music. So now that I don't have to worry about that anymore, like the boxing thing, like now I'm back in a juggling Zen space. I got a new single getting ready to drop first week in January called Trouble Don't Last, produced by Zaytoven, which is going to throw a lot of people off because whoa, Crack is Zaytoven, but I'm still very much Headkrack, on a Zaytoven beat. And I think the subject matter is going to hit home with a lot of people, because I think there's a lot of people who are going through the stuff I'm talking about on that record. So hopefully that record does something for somebody, because it's definitely one of the joints that should pick you up. And then the rest of the project, Microdose, which is an EP, has a bunch of producers that you haven't heard of yet that will be big names by the time it's all said and done. Talk about Local Astronauts, Higgy Beats, and Zaytoven. Yeah, they did the whole thing. It was like 3 producers did the whole thing. So nice. I'm excited for people to hear the rest of it.
That's dope. Speaking of, up and coming, and also the underground, I got to give a shout out to Ultra Beast, Four Eyes and Senior Counts, who have been on the show, and you've worked with them more than once. I love those dudes right there, man.
Me too. Yo, no, Four Eyes and Senior Chaos were you know, how, like, you know, in like Star Wars, when like a new Jedi come to town, they looking for the other Jedis that they heard about. When I first moved to Atlanta, I was looking for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, because their reputation preceded them before I even got here. And I happened to catch them at a Raekwon and what's the guy from Birmingham? It was a Raekwon and Yellow Wolf show. I watched them open up. And then, you know, as fate would have it, I turned around. I had a drink in my hand. I turned around, bumped right into Senor Chaos and spilled drinks on him, right? And then that's the icebreaker. Wasn't intended,
Mm.
but that's how it happened. But, you know, we clicked up and got cool. So, like, every now and then, like, I'm jumping on their record, they jumping on my record, vice versa. And Chaos, he just moved to LA not too long ago. Before I was still out here getting it in, man. He just did something with the pimp guy. His name is
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
I'm nice with the vibes and words.
Yep. I can't remember his name right now.
Original baller.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. There you
Original
go.
baller. And and that sounded marvelous as well. So, you know, like, you know, man, if one thing about Four Eyes, his pen always gonna work. You know what I mean? He lives, breathes, eats, sleeps, ishes hip hop. You know what I mean? And I love that because he has the amount of time to dump into it that I wish sometimes I had. But it's just I'm pulled in so many different directions sometimes. It's just like, like, you know, I have my kill mode season, and then I gotta focus on TV stuff, you know. But he's been so consistent with just raps, and it's just always a pleasure to watch, man, and listen to.
Toast. Mm. Give us I'm like you work with them often, so just give us a little glimpse of how a session is with them.
Man, the crazy thing is I've never been in the studio with them when anything has ever been recorded. It's always one of those situations where, and the crazy thing is, like, I could drive to 4 Hours' house and be there in 30 minutes or less. However, the way my setup is, you got a beat for me? Send me the beat, and I could just record it and I send it right back out, and then next thing you know, we perform it somewhere at a 529 or damn, what else would be rocking at the Vinyl or any of these other spots, man. So it's so easy to work with those guys because, you know, anytime you get a verse from them, you know, okay, cool, it's rap time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or even if it's something like, you know, based in subject matter, like, you know, Four Eyes got a dope record with me called Bopper Talk, which I didn't put on any of my projects, but I just gave it to a DJ who was working on a project, mostly because I didn't want to clear the sample. And I'm like, hey, you deal with this. But it's a good song and it's a great story. And yeah, we got some other stuff in the can that hasn't came out yet, and I can't wait for people to hear it. I mean, we're always working on something.
That's great.
All of us, man, for real.
A producer who I would like to see you work with again is Ginsu Dean.
You know, me too. And a crazy thing, because like I was listening to It's Just Him the other day because it just randomly came up. And not only I was like, damn, I wish I could record that over again. But I just love the way sonically it sounded. You know, because for anybody who has a home studio situation, the same setup you have now is it the same setup maybe you had 10 years ago, or even 6 years ago. Maybe you get a better mic. So when I hear it, I just hear all the things that could sonically have been better on that particular song, but people dig it. And I love Ginsu Dean's production style, even the stuff he did with 730, another MC who I think is like really dope, man. Like, he should be a household name that people know.
Absolutely.
And hopefully 2023 is the year that all the dope unknowns really get their time to shine in the sunlight. And that's really what I'm all about, man. Like, I mean, with all my projects, I always really try to like work with artists that people haven't heard of or on the verge, or just their energy is good. You know what I mean? Because like I don't work with people just because, oh, you're hot and everyone knows who you are. I think that's whack because I don't like to chase clout and ride people's waves. But if it's gonna make the record better, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like even, I mean, I don't want to drop no names, but I got some stuff in the stash, and it's in the stash with people who I looked up to as a kid, and man, they gave me gold. But not everything is for every project. So whereas artists A and B might not make microdose, but maybe they'll pop up on what I do after that. So fingers crossed. And yeah, man, Ginsu Dean, man, let's lock in. I'm glad you put his name back on my radar. I need to make sure his number and email still good because I want to get it popping.
There you go. Cool. So tell us about growing up. What kind of music did your parents listen to?
Man, back in the day, I was a little bit of everything because like my pops, he used to ride around listening to like Luther Vandross, Al Jarreau, Michael Jackson, and vicariously, I'm listening to Michael Jackson because like Mike's Mike, right? He also listened to a lot of jazz, Michael Frank. So I was really listening to whoever my dad and my mom and whoever my dad's girlfriends were listening to at the time. So I had a really all over the place musical palette. But as I started getting more access myself to hip hop, I was listening to everybody that rapped because there was a period in time where it was actually feasible to buy every CD or actually cassette at that time that came out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there wasn't like 50 tapes dropping a week. There might be one,
yep.
maybe two. So, whether you go into Tower Records or The Wiz or Sam Goody or Crazy Eddie or something like that back in the days, I was there every Tuesday with my lunch money that I had saved up to go cop whatever was smoking, man. So if Yo MTV Rap showed their video, 9 times out of 10 I had they tape. Like all of it. Because I mean, everybody was coming with it. It was such a different space and place. I mean, you had if you're talking the 80s, you had LL, Kane, Run, MC Light, NWA, Eazy-E, Public Enemy, 2 Live Crew, Ghetto Boys, all going for it at the same time, keeping it interesting. And then in the 90s, it got even wider. The Tribe, the De La's, Wu-Tang, Nas, Jay-Z. So I was really a fan of everything. Only time I started to back away a little bit is when it just got, some of it had no nutritional value for me. You know what I mean? Like, hey, man, so by the time like the mid-90s is around, I'm
like
living
the way you worded that.
Yeah, like I'm living, because I don't want to call it whack, because there's a lot of things that were whack to me that I actually tolerate a little bit more so now, because some of the new stuff is so bad that the stuff that used to be whack is actually passable, if that's if that makes any sense. But yeah, I had a hard time digesting a lot of music that just didn't really speak to me in a certain way back then. And as time goes by, you start to realize, okay, that wasn't for me at that time. I mean, even some of my favorite artists, like maybe would come out with a project that wasn't for me at the time. Just imagine being a De La Soul fan who listened to 3 Feet High and Rising and De La Soul is Dead. And then when you get Balloon Mind State, you're like, whoa. I'm used to coming for a Happy Meal. You just gave me an Arch Deluxe. I wasn't ready. However, a couple years later, I listened to the album and I realized, yo, this actually may be the greatest album because this is the album they grew up on. Like I Am I.B. and Break of Dawn. I mean, Break of Dawn was dope from off the rip, but this everything was so playful prior to that. It took me a second to adjust to the growth and maturity that they were showing on that album. And then that was when I realized that, wow, hip hop is supposed to grow up. You're not supposed to be rapping about the same things forever. You're supposed to evolve. You know what I mean? Even Marvin Gaye wasn't the same Marvin Gaye on album 1 that he was, on Here, My Dear, when he was going through a divorce and had to like, yo, I just did this album just to pay my alimony. You know what I mean? So it's great to see some of your favorites go through things and just evolve and change with the times.
Absolutely. I don't want to jump around too much, but I'm thinking of some favorite tracks off of your One Man Army album.
Wow. Okay.
And that was Truth Serum.
Okay.
And Escape from New York.
Wow. I've never had this conversation ever. So this is dope. Because the crazy thing, I didn't do interviews during the One Man Army time. So like I've never got a chance to take a deep dive on those on any of those records, but let's go. They call you Wiki for a reason.
Escape from New York, I just had that vibe that the imagery was there. And that's one of my favorite things about music. Even if it's not a storytelling track, sometimes you could just close your eyes and listen to the lyrics, and it's like everything is there. It's like reading a book.
Yeah.
Everything just is being painted for you.
I really wanted to create a movie with that song, it is based on some things that may or maybe not happen to me personally. Maybe it happened to the person next to me. But I felt like that story was important to tell because there's a lot of people who are just sometimes just chilling, minding their own business and end up running for their life or having
Mhm.
to, it will find themselves in the system unjustly, and even like, when you travel around the country, when you say is New York in the house, mad people there. And a lot of them are there because they're running from something. So so like just to put the framework or the picture frame on like how does someone end up, being so New York, but outside of how do they end up leaving? What kind of things happen to these people? So that was just one page out of the life of one person who went through some things and had to make a run for it, man. So like I appreciate you even listening to that song. Sometimes when I see like the streams are coming from certain things, I wonder who is
Mhm.
doing that. But now I can put a face to some of them.
It's me.
My man, shout out to Wiki though. But man, yo, that was a fun record. Shout out to Rock, and depending on which version you heard, you said the One Man Army version. I think is that the one that had the Hail Mary instrumental behind it.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's an original version of that was produced by my man Rob Victim, and I don't know why I never put the original version out. The original version, production wise, is solid, but like with One Man Army, because it was a mixtape, my man Ivan G took the acapella and put it over that instrumental, and we did what we did. But man, like the original Rob Victim version is pretty hard, and I need to probably upload that somewhere, or maybe
Mm.
people need to hear that one. So there's that one, and then Truth Serum. Basically, it was just like rapping about just being frustrated, like how the industry works, especially during that time. It was like, payola was like at an all-time high, and the way it was looking was like really
Yeah.
crazy. And and I'm just getting into working at radio during this time, right? Well, maybe I'm 4 years in. So by now I've seen how the hot dogs are made, and I'm like, yo, this is terrible. Like, there's a lot of good music that's not getting played because this is happening, and this is happening. And I also blame the DJs for not standing up for themselves and fighting for
Mm.
their positions to like, try to like, buck the system and continue to be the curators of the culture and play different things. So that is kind of what that record right there was about overall. Just being in the machine, being frustrated from inside the machine.
Yeah. Mm-mm. Speaking of which, you know, we got a dope MC that's tuning in right now. Seven the Panther.
Peace, Panther.
He is a person that, you know, I feel would flourish with that type of content from True Serum, from the music I've listened to throughout the years in his discography.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely dope.
Let me jot
Um,
this down so I can check him out on Spotify
definitely.
later.
I'll send.
SEVN the Panther.
Yeah.
Boom. Yep. What? Hold on. No. Okay. Just Panther came up.
I'll
I,
send you the link.
my brother, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Wiki. I always, no matter like how long I do this radio thing, no matter how long I do this music thing, I always get excited by hearing new, fresh voices because it's exciting. You know what I mean? Like, we lost that curated experience that we used to have by watching like Yo MTV Raps or Video Music Box. I mean, I know New York still get it, but that daily appointment that we used to have every day where we can run home and watch a music video service tell us who these new artists were, it's so lost that, you miss a lot. Because like if you just leave it to radio to tell you who's dope, you're gonna hate rap eventually.
We got another dope musician, Keelan Donnell. He's from a Texas group called The Village. I'll send you a
Peace.
link, to them as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Definitely some young talent coming out of what, Dallas. Where else are they from? Lufkin and another area.
Heard of Lufkin. Cool, cool, cool. Now I see them in the YouTube chat. Big up.
There you go. Cool, cool.
Nah,
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
man. Like I'm all about connecting, man, and building with artists, man. And like, like, and if you want to get down on a feature, man, I like, man, as long as you dope, at the end of the day, as long as you dope and I won't have to like denounce knowing you in 6 months. You're like, oh man, I had no idea. As long as you ain't out here Weinsteining people, you know what I mean? And you're a good person, like, yo, we get some music done because like I believe in the frequency of creation. Like one thing I know is like anytime you put a bunch of creatives in a room, you always are gonna pretty much get a good result. So anytime I
Absolutely.
find anybody who has just a good vibrating energy about them, like, hey, I want to learn more about that person. And in time permits, man, I always like to collab with those people. So let's build.
Definitely. I love hearing that. It's at the same time, it's like a fan, they go and listen to, say, I listen to a Headkrack track, and then there's a feature of somebody else who I have no idea who they are, but they killed it on that track.
Mhm.
Now that piques my interest to see what else do they have out there.
Yeah. I mean, think of the first time like you heard Cannabis featured on something, or like the first time you heard JID featured on something, or I mean, I know J. Cole was dropping singles, but shoot, even like Freeway on I think the Rock La Familia, but he's like, yo, who's the dude with the ill voice? There's always that breakout moment. Shoot, Busta Rhymes, I think is probably one of the greatest, story. Well, now Leaders of the New School was out before he did Scenario. Yeah. That doesn't count. I just want to make sure I'm factual here. But yeah, but a well-placed feature will, man, like not only start a career, but also spark interest in everything that's going on there. So, and hopefully give, a breath of fresh, good spark and breath of fresh air to the project that it's on. So yeah.
Absolutely. That's why I love music so much.
It's what keeps us in it, man. A day, all day.
Rob Victim, not too long ago.
Oh, you talked to him not too long ago?
No, I'm saying you did. You mentioned him, right?
Yeah.
Have you spoken to him recently?
No, I just like some of his posts because he continues to put out like beat tapes. He just did a project with Murs not too long ago. So like Rob is still cooking, and like we just have such a weird working relationship because like there's records that we supposed to do a project together a long time ago, but this is like during a time where like people are sending me beat CDs with like 76 beats on them. You know what I mean? So I'm drowning in music and just trying to get everything I can get done in a hierarchy or an order that I felt like made sense. So I think all in all, like I maybe have like 6 records with Rob Victim, but I never like completely closed the door to like working with him moving forward. But I think once I moved out of Texas and moved to Atlanta, it's just kind of like one of those out of sight, out of mind things. But I definitely always see him cooking and doing his thing. And yeah, I'm definitely open to it. I just have to just put out these releases that I have on the table already. Cause like, yeah, I just don't need 20 more songs that I haven't released,
Gotcha.
It's really more than that. You know what I'm saying? So, because it's not like how it used to be where you could just drop an album with 15 songs on it. You kind of got to like slowly spoon feed people with the little tiny spoon these songs these days, because not everybody has the attention span to listen to a hour-long project from people, unless you're Kendrick Lamar or J. Cole or just somebody just really just wants to hear a whole album from like right now. It's weird how music has changed up. Because I come from the era like, yo, I believe a project should tell a whole story. Now I got to figure out how to tell shorter stories.
Yeah. And with the influx of music every week, I mean, I listen, when I see something new out, I normally listen to it, give it 1 or 2 spins. If it's somebody that I'm definitely a fan of, I'm going to listen to it more than once. And then when Friday nights come, Thursday into midnight, when all the rest of the new releases come out, if I'm still up, I'm going to listen to about 5 or 10 different albums that night.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's so much out there.
It's overwhelming. And then, and people don't act like music competes with TV watching, but it does. There's so many times where I could be listening to an album, like walking on a treadmill, but no, I want to watch this TV show I'm 4 episodes behind on. while I'm on a treadmill. So there's so many things competing for your attention at all times.
Mm-hmm.
I do kind of understand why people be like, yo, hit them with less just so they can digest it and then give them something else, not too far down the road. Because you also don't want stuff to get lost in the sauce too. Because I think there's a lot of times like artists will drop a lot of music in a short span of time, and we didn't even get a chance to fully appreciate the last project. I remember like it was like a year where Ghostface put out like 3 albums, and it's like, whoa, I'm still listening to Fish Scale, bro. You know what I mean? Like the second project was literally more Fish Scale. It's like, yo, I'm still on the first plate. So it's just, man, just meeting people where they at and just trying to figure out how to get them to listen longer and be fully engaged. It's a tricky thing to navigate.
Yeah, I think I remember decades ago it used to be they released the album and then they released singles afterwards.
It's gone both ways. Like sometimes they used to do the lead up single, and then maybe the second single when it's time to drop the album, and then a third single based on what people are talking about. And then every now and then you'll have somebody like the Fugees who they'll give more than one single to, because like, all right, cool, we could work this on the urban contemporary, Killing Me Softly. We could work Ready or Not on the hip hop side of things. Then there's Fuji La. Then there was they did the video for Cowboys. And I feel like there was one more thing off that album, but every now and then somebody would get more than the 3-song treatment, which, shoot, I mean, take it back to Michael Jackson with Thriller. He worked everything off that album, I think, except Lady in My Life. And even that's a bop now that you listen to it. But all the other joints, and I think Lady in My Life and The Girl Is Mine didn't have a video. Girl Is Mine was actually the first single, but he didn't make a video for that one. But he did Billie Jean, Beat It, Thriller, obviously, Human Nature. Yeah, man, like, so like there's something that could be learned from like the old school way of doing things, but just applying that new science to it, and there's a lot that goes with it. Because like not only do you have to service all the college radio DJs, all the internet DJs, do the blog and the talk show circuit, you also have to be outside, you know what I'm saying? And figure out a way to get shows so people can experience you that way. And that was one of the hardest things about the pandemic is like, man, like I dropped Action Park during the pandemic and only could virtually operate. You know what I mean? Like, here's a video. Here's a virtual listening party that we're going to do. But, it's really getting on that stage and impacting people that way that really helps.
Yeah. It's crazy. I think like 2 weeks ago, Gucci Mane dropped the album. 80 tracks. 80 tracks. Yeah.
Gucci Mane did? Wow.
I'm like, you couldn't have did an album quarterly for the whole year. You just dropped 80 tracks. And I think it's like over 3 hours long or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, like there's people who I like that I would be frustrated if they drop 80 songs. It's just too much pressure. It feels like you're cramming for an exam. And I mean, I could take 15 songs maybe, but yeah, 80, man, that's just a lot. It took me a while to listen to the Wu-Tang Double Disc album. Because like you want to slowly enjoy it.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't want to just rush listen to it for the sake of listening to it. So it took me a while to get through that second disc because I was rocking out to the first one for so long, and then every time I get back in the car, I'd start over. So it took a minute, man. But 80 songs, more power to him. There has to be a rhyme or reason to why he did that.
It has to be, yeah.
He might have 800 more songs waiting, and like he had to get them 80 off somewhere. So I understand that notion of it.
Contractual reasons.
Yeah, all right, now you're off the label. Like this we treated it as a 4 album, a quattro album. You never ever know, man. So more power to him, though.
Now, speaking on, you mentioned the Wu-Tang double album. I tell people all the time, Gang Starr's Moment of Truth, to me, is a double album.
Okay.
And just like what you were saying, there's 20 tracks on that album. I kid you not, for a month straight, I kept playing the first 10 tracks before I went to the rest of the album. And I was mind blown. I was like, I didn't listen to this yet, but I was so in awe and enjoying those first 10 tracks. I just kept playing them.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be like that. And I think, and there's nothing wrong with digesting music that way. Sometimes, listen, it might be a situation where the first side, if we're talking cassette, right? The first side
Mhm.
is going so hard that, man, you'll get to the other side when you get to it. I'm enjoying this right now. Even when I
Yep.
think about like other long players back in the day, like he's the DJ, I'm the rapper, Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
That A side was what it was. The B side was a completely different beast in its own right. And I would have been okay just listening to side A for a year and then listening to side B for the second year. But I was listening to the whole thing. But I guess the more adult we become sometimes and have less time to do leisurely things, our, I don't want to say attention span, but the amount of intimate time that we have with music sometimes changes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you're in a city, maybe you're doing the commute thing where, like, you ride public transportation, so you have that intimate setting with your music every day. And that's one thing I missed about being in New York. And also I missed it about being like a high school kid riding a school bus, because I would have my headphones on every day listening to whatever the hell I put on, like a 90-minute Max L tape, to rock out to. And now I have like a 12 to 20-minute commute to work, depending what the light stream is doing. And I don't get to listen to as much music as I used to, and I hate it. And I hate it so much.
Yeah, that's that's I listen to most of my music on the bus and the train. So that's what I listen to. And it even goes back to high school, because I love buying maxi singles, because I love instrumentals, and there was always an LB side remix on some maxi singles. So that's what was in my Walkman.
What's something that you wish had an instrumental in maxi single form but didn't?
I gotta think about that one, because I'm pretty sure most of the maxi singles I had, they had instrumentals and acapellas on there.
Yeah,
damn, I gotta think about that one.
Yeah, the good old days. I used to hate when you would think it would be instrumental, but it was like the dub. So like every now and then, like an ad lib would come in. Like, yo, I can't rap on
track.
Yeah, man. Like, yo, man, he ain't gonna come to my house and perform. Just give me the instrumental, man. But shout out to the pause loop tapes. You know what I mean? Where you can just like loop it. Man, we used to work hard just to get stuff back in the day.
Now I think about it, it might have been a DOS Effects track. Yeah, I gotta look it up.
They were very stingy with their instrumentals. Very stingy with the instrumentals. I mean, I think the Microphone Checker remix, I think, had it on there if you had the maxi cassette. But I don't think they One Effects had an instrumental on there, if my memory serves me correct. Because I wanted that one. And same thing with there was some Far Side song, and it wasn't Passing Me By. Now I think Passing Me By didn't have an instrumental at first. I think eventually they like, on a special edition one, they put it out.
They put it on.
Yeah, but that was a hard one to get, for a period of time.
Wow.
Man, the good old days.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be a DOS Effects right now. I'm going to be looking for that later on.
Sorry, man. I didn't mean to send you a scavenger hunt.
It's all good. Man, so you got your album you're working on right now.
Yeah, Microdose.
Bodega Brothers.
Microdose is already in the bag. Be on the lookout for that. Coming in the first quarter. Next single, Trouble Don't Last Always, produced by Zaytoven, featuring my man A1 Crashing. Bodega Brothers. We don't know what we're calling the next project, but that project is in the bag already too. And we might even hit y'all with some loosies that are not even associated with that project, just to get these records up and out and get that machine cranking. So I'm excited about that. And I'm excited that people hear those things. And I'm just trying to make 23 the most musical year, as far as output goes, for me ever. You know what I mean? I have some really great videos already shot, and more content to associate with those things that'll definitely hook people in. Because I don't like to just hey, it's a video of me rapping in front of a car. Like, nah, like everything is always gonna be different. And hopefully, when you watch my visuals, you'll be like, yo, you're the only person who has that video. So that's how I'm trying to move it, man. For real, for real.
Nice, nice. For anyone tuning in or new to Headkrack in 2022,
Mm-hmm.
what would be a track or album from your discography that you would want them to listen to?
I definitely would recommend going to Action Park. I released it in 2020. It's a nice little comfortable 10 piece, and it plays out like a movie. Like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
stories are on there. All true stories, mind you. Also, it's a great gym album. It's a great go to. I've listened to this album in so many different environments just to see if it feels good there. Like I went to LA and I'm on Santa Monica and I'm like riding like a bike and Abracadabra comes on. I'm like, nailed it. Because this is exactly what I was thinking about when I made this song, being someplace like this. And there's literally a song on there called Cali that is completely that kind of vibe. Riding high, like you leaving a club, perfect song for that. Action, perfect song to throw those extra squats up, or throw the extra reps up in the gym. Bad news. It's like when you first get on the treadmill. There's a song for every occasion on that record. So I definitely recommend starting with Action Park. That's AKTION Park. And be on the lookout for the new stuff, man. Violence is out right now. For the Love is the B-side to that one. And Trouble Don't Last is up next.
Okay, sorry, my headphones is out.
No problem.
You gotta tell me about Thanks for the Ride with Chocolate.
Oh, man.
I love her work.
Yo, Chocolate is dope. And I got to send a major shout out to my man D Cross, who was recommended to me to hey, you should have this guy mix your records. So I started sending them records to mix for Action Park. This is back when I was still just in demo mode with it. And one day he's like, yo, man, you're dope. I want to send you some records. So he sent me Thanks for the Ride. At this point, Chocolate wasn't even on the song. And I did my verses, sent it back to him. Then he sent it back with Chocolate on there. Incredible. And I was like, you know what? Let's overkill it. Let me get my man to play the horn on it, man. So big shout out to my man Randall Vaughn, who's playing the horn at the end of that. And I think it bought the soul, man. Cause I was going through a lot. Man, I was going through a lot. Like I lost a lot of people that year. And I also, it's the circle of life, man. And it sucks. Even today, I lost my other uncle today. And it sucks. And I just wanted to give everybody their flowers that got me to this point in my life that are no longer here. And I just want to say thanks for the ride on that, and notably, I left my mom out of that because I have a whole record for her. And I feel really great about it because that record has a Sade sample. Sade doesn't really clear samples, but she cleared mine. And I cannot wait for people to hear that song. It might be a bonus track on Microdose, but it's a tough record for me to listen to. I've played that song for other people and they have cried. So wow. I know we have something special there, and I don't want to just throw it out there just for the sake of throwing it out. I just want to give it its own space, time, and energy to do it. But Thanks for the Ride was the precursor to all of that, man. And it's legit one of my favorite songs to do live. I've only done it live in probably 2 or 3 times, but it's a great way for me to close the show, man. Because it's like, hey, man, I appreciate y'all. You love me, but I love you more. Thanks for the ride, y'all. You know what I mean? Let's go. Let's get it back out there and get to it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite tracks and closing track 2 for the album. But we gotta stop for a moment. You just said Sade approved sample. That's serious right there.
It is, man. And I couldn't believe it at first because I thought they was gonna ask for some absurd amount of money, and they was like, yeah, just XYZ amount on the publishing and da 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 da. And hey, did you also because there was a couple other things that were mentioned that referenced Sade records. So once we cleaned those things up out of it, it made the process a little bit easier. Because because it was actually not only a love letter to mothers everywhere, but it was also a Sade appreciation record. So some of the people that was doing ad libs on there would reference other songs that Sade had said.
They did.
And it was yeah, wow. we want that. You need to clear that record too. But I'm it's just a lot. Okay. So I just appreciate with them making the process smooth and simple. And I hopefully that record gets people through a tough time. And because like loss, especially during the holidays, isn't the easiest thing to process. And one of the things that, because like I've spent a lot of the last couple of years like going to different ayahuasca retreats and stuff just
Okay.
to just to understand the afterlife better and understand everything that not just this physical experience that we're going through, but the spiritual existence as well. And man, we're here suffering. Our people who are gone, they're good. And the things that they experience when they transition over, the feeling that they experience is one of the most beautiful things that you will ever experience as a person. And you can't really replicate that with any drugs, no amount of money you can find in your pocket that'll make you feel that way. And ayahuasca allowed me to experience that. And that was the one thing that I wanted that plant to teach me and help me understand so I could be okay with it. And I'm good. I'm good now because I know everybody that transitioned on, they're good, and we don't got nothing to worry about. Oh, you broke up. What's that, brother?
I was saying, put you in a much better place.
Put me in a much better place, man. Because
Mm-hmm.
'cause my mom left young, my grandmother left young. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people also that I mentioned on Thanks for the Ride, like these people were all people that I thought I would get to see the old versions of them later. You know what I mean? And sometimes God has different plans, and you just gotta kind of accept it for what it is. And understand that, hey man, listen, the amount of time that we spend here doing what we're doing right now is so minuscule on the larger scale of eternity. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
once you understand that and understand that this is not even everything, it'll make you understand it a lot better and you'll be okay with it, man.
Yeah. I feel that, I lost my last three grandparents in 2013,
I'm
all
sorry,
within
brother.
6 months of each other.
I'm so sorry to hear that, brother. But
And, that was hard at that time because growing up, I was always around all of them.
yeah. And in the black community, man, like, grandparents, they different. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? A lot of times we were raised by our grandparents. Like my grandmother had an apartment in the Bronx and she had a room in there for me. When she got money and moved out of the Bronx to Virginia, she built a house and made a room that was a replica of my room in the Bronx, just so when I would come to visit her, I would feel comfortable.
There you
And
go. Mm-hmm.
if that's not love, I don't know what is. You know what I mean? Like my grandmother put me on the turkey burgers. I didn't know what that was beforehand because like she had a heart attack like in the 80s. So like she switched up her eating,
Okay.
between point A and point B. So she put me on
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of healthy stuff just so, I wouldn't turn into
Sounds
Mary.
like my mother.
Yeah, like man, and that's another thing, man. The youth, man, we gotta like stay plugged in with our ancestors because there's so many like recipes and lifelong lessons that we'll miss out on if we don't take the time to have these conversations because we're just so buried in our phones and our tablets that
Mm-hmm.
man, we don't have the conversations that we need to be having to continue the legacies and continue the traditions that some of our elders, was rocking with.
Yeah. I mean, my son loves baked mac and cheese. We just call it, black people just call it mac and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've been vegan for 6 years now. I still know how to make it, and they still tear it up. I also learned how to make cheesecake at an early age from my mother. And back then, I also used to learn how to make the cookies and cakes and stuff like that. So, that wealth of knowledge, just what cooking can
Yeah.
do so much for you, pass it on.
Especially to like not have to microwave your food, but to be able to whip something like that up from
Mm-hmm.
scratch. You know what I mean? Like most people, you like, y'all want a cheesecake. They're gonna go to Costco or whatever store is and get you one already made. But there's nothing that can beat the love of somebody standing over, a stove or standing over a pot, man, whipping something up and making it happen. And it's quickly becoming a lost art, man. So hopefully, we can continue to keep those traditions going.
Absolutely. Headkrack, everyone.
Yo,
Definitely enjoyed this tonight.
yo,
I,
Wiki,
I try,
likewise.
I do my best, to just have it be a conversation, speak on life and music, and definitely did that tonight.
Yo, I felt like I was talking to a friend. Yo, I appreciate that, Wiki. For real, man. Yo, if
Appreciate
there's
that.
ever anything I can do for you on my side, please let me know. And thank you so much for championing the culture the way you do, man. Shout out to HHDG Media. And check out their website too. Like, I mean, I know y'all pop on for the Facebook, but they be
Mhm.
posting some joints. You know what I mean? Like some joints. So man, be
Appreciate that.
sure you'll keep the torch lit, man. And I appreciate your time and energy. Always, bro.
Definitely. And whatever new music you know is coming out, you got our email. You let us know.
It's on and popping, man. And if you hear something I need to be up on, please send it my way as well.
Definitely.
All right, man. Yo, peace and love, everybody, man. Happy New Year. Make 2023 the greatest year ever. And yo, connect with the elders, man. They got something to say.
There you go.
Appreciate you, my G.
Also, let everyone know where they can reach out to Headkrack and support the music.
Listen, I'm on all social media, HEADKRACK. That's Spotify, that's Tidal, that's iTunes, Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, and all that good stuff, as well as YouTube, man. So be sure you tap in. Let me know what you rocking with. You know, I'll reply back and all that good stuff. And be on the lookout for this new music, man. Not only on the Headkrack side, but Bodega Brothers as well, man. We coming. Guns is loaded.
There you go. On behalf of our HHDG media crew, I'm going to say peace.
Peace. Easy does it. My man, I appreciate this, bro.